Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulil Kareem. I am extremely grateful to Mohsin for his very kind invitation to share some thoughts and ideas about the practice of Unani medicine in UK. So inshallah, I'm gonna share some slides with you a little later. Let me say a few words about my own self so you know what context I'm coming from. So Alhamdulillah, I'm in practice for over 40 years in England in a place called Leicester as a herbalist, iridologist and a Unani physician. I have still an active practice for the last 40 years where I see patients and treat them on an individual basis. I'm also principal for College of Medicine and Healing Arts, registered in England as not for-profit organization. And through the college, we have a number of programs, as you'll see in the slide presentation. But Alhamdulillah, we are probably the only college outside South Asia where we have a diploma program in Unani medicine. Of course, there is also a program in South Africa, a degree program in Unani medicine. But in UK, Europe and America, I think at the moment we're probably the only organization providing a professional level training in Unani medicine. So let us set the context of UK read, which might be helpful for you folks. So United Kingdom, these are some of the images associated with UK by some of us. UK is also the home of democracy, as many of you are very well aware. It is also the home of Industrial Revolution, which right now, under the current circumstances, is getting some interesting bashing, to call it that. It's interesting to know that UK was also the first country which actually provided free universal health care for its entire population at the point of delivery. This was in 1948. And this is the first patient which was treated under the new NHS. This went along or went on until there was a crisis, the thalidomide crisis, which actually became the turning point for both NHS pharmaceutical industry and also complementary and alternative medicine, including Unani medicine. Thalidomide was a drug which was given to women who were pregnant in order to relieve nausea of the pregnancy. But after many decades of use, there were thousands of people who were born with various disabilities. It was actually a global crisis of the so-called safety of pharmaceutical drugs. In England, the government came out with the Medicine Act of 1968 to deal with some of the consequences of thalidomide. At that time, herbal medicine was actually protected under the Medicine Act. It had a special provision under two sections. So herbalists were exempt from many of the restrictions that were placed on the manufacturing or making of medicines at that time. Interesting to note that the freedom to get treated by herbalists, to use herbal medicine, comes from as far back as 1544, what is known as under the Herbalist Charter by King Henry VIII. This charter actually gave freedoms to practicing herbalists at that time, with some restrictions to continue the art and craft of or the profession of herbal medicine. Then in 2004, Britain, as it became part of the European Union, there was legislation from the European Union to regulate and to manage the practice of traditional herbal medicine. This was a directive in 2004. Let us just focus a little on the UK's National Health Service as it is now. This is how the National Health Service is administered by the various nations in United Kingdom. As you can see, it's a devolved healthcare. Now, NHS currently in the UK, one can really say that it is in almost constant crisis throughout the year, but in particular during the winter months. And here's some key aspect of this crisis. And what this demonstrates really is the inability of the healthcare profession in UK to solve lifestyle diseases. This is some of the backdrop of the industrial pollution, which I'm sure you are very familiar with. Here's some aspect of modern lifestyle and its stress upon many of us. Here's a symbol of the obesity. So let's focus a little on the chronic lifestyle diseases. As you can see, it is a major part of the contemporary illnesses. This is a profile of the aging population of UK. The whole matter is really accentuated, compounded by the rising cost of new pharmaceutical drugs. You can see obesity as one of the major factors, 1/3 of the population. And here's top 10 causes of the death worldwide. And interestingly, many industrializing nations are catching up with this pattern of disease as well. This is the financial aspects of the NHS. You can see how the expenditure on health continues to increase. This gives you some idea really how over the last 70 plus years the cost of health care has spiraled out. So almost 1/3 is being spent on the health care. The payment for negligence by the medical profession, healthcare profession is also increasing. Here's an aspect of the professionals working in the healthcare. As you can read, the safety of the patient is being increasingly compromised, and its impact on the healthcare professionals themselves. It is in this context that Unani medicine and other complementary and alternative medicines can make a contribution. In 1999-2000, there was a House of Lords Select Committee to look at the complementary and alternative medicine, and these are some of the interesting facts that emerge from that Select Committee report. This shows you the type of complementary and alternative medicines that the public were using then. This tells you what kind of condition people are coming to complementary and alternative medicine to help with. Now, it is in this context that the practice of Unani medicine in UK can play its role. Again, we can see from our practices and other colleagues why people come to Unani again in particular, and what Unani can and does offer. This is the aspect of education in Unani medicine. This is our kind of preferred method of teaching and facilitations. Free online mini courses for the public. Online public health education programs, we currently have 2. Again, these courses are available for the public, but practical in-person programs. The college has put together manuals that are comprehensive and relevant to today's challenges and problems that people face in respect of their health and well-being. Then we have a professional diplomas program. Again, we have specific manuals, books, and resources developed for these. There is a professional association of Unani medicine set up in UK as a not-for-profit organization, where we've recently opened a chapter in USA of the Guild of Unani Tibb. So here again is the summary of the opportunities. This was for first time a presentation in 2019 at the House of Parliament in UK to explore the relevance of Unani in the public health care. This was first ever event really, and we were very privileged and honored to make a contribution to this event. Again, we hope to make this an annual program in the Parliament to educate and inform the policymakers and the decision makers. Here are some of the challenges, and these challenges are significant. Absence of classics of Unani and European languages, specifically English. There is beginning of some translations, but many of these are not satisfactory. Again, absence of contemporary textbooks for physicians which are suitable, lack of relevant information for the public, lack of trained physicians that are competent, confident in working in contemporary settings, lack of accredited, authentic and experienced teachers and trainers of Unani tradition, very little infrastructure that can provide and maintain leadership, and lack of public demonstration of Unani products which are safe, effective and sustainably and ethically produced. This is very important really, because the UK population, like many other European and American population, is now very much concerned about the safety, the efficacy, as well as the sustainability and the ethical dimensions of our herbs and products. And really, there's very little resources in terms of finance for the education, development, and research and promotion of Unani Tibb. However, I think given all these challenges, Unani has a bright future, not only globally, but also specifically in UK, Europe, and America. Here's an image of a local environment. Thank you very much for your very kind participation.